You are listening to the Southwestern American Choral Directors Association Connections podcast, where we will interview choral directors, leaders, and movers and shakers within our region. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Wall. We hope you enjoy these conversations. Please like and subscribe this YouTube channel for future content. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode. It's been a while since I have logged on to record an episode for you, and I apologize about that. The holidays, of course, took a little break for that, and then I think I mentioned in a previous episode I was having hip repair surgery, had that, and everything went well, but recovery was a little trickier than I thought, so had to take some time off for that. Wasn't getting around as well, but all things are looking up now and moving around better, so I appreciate your patience. Today I'm going to bring you an episode, an interview with Beth Enloe Fritz. Beth is a retired music educator, but is still very, very active as a clinician, adjudicator, and substitute teacher for all grades, and is also an adjunct music professor for Webster University in Missouri. She is also the assistant director for the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's In Unison Chorus. She graduated in UMKC from UMKC Conservatory of Music and Dance under mentors Drs. Eph Ehly and Charles Robinson. She earned 3 degrees, the BME with vocal and instrumental certification, and the BAs in music therapy and psychology. In 2005, she earned an MM in jazz with an emphasis in vocal jazz arranging from Webster University. She's taught for 31 years, having taught every grade from K through 12 in all subjects music related, general music, guitar, other individual instruments, band. Also taught students AP music theory, choral music, vocal jazz, all kinds of things. Lots more to read in her bio, and as always, I'll put that down in the description of this video so you can take a look there. But I think you're going to enjoy this conversation and getting to know Beth Enloe Fritz. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Connections Podcast. I am here today with Beth Enloe Fritz, and we are back after kind of a long hiatus. And we just talked a little bit about my horrible memory of remembering when and where and how I've met people. And I asked, and she said we had not yet connected. So I'm glad to do that with you today. Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a great experience for all of our members to be able to learn about each other and kind of get to know each other through this. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. First, let's start out with your backstory and maybe your musical upbringing. Tell us about you.
Okay, well, my father was a music minister, music and youth minister to be specific, in the Baptist church. So lots of music, at least Sunday and Wednesday every week, if not all day Sunday, and then a good portion of Wednesday, and all the activities that came about there. And my dad, of course, doing the music for the church, and then the choir, including youth choir. And then my mom actually taught me how to read music. I remember Sunday afternoons at church, and she, with our little group of kids, I think it was, this is going to date me, but I think it was Girls in Action, GAs. I don't know if you know about the GAs in Baptist Church. It's comparable to the Royal Ambassadors, which are what the boys did, RAs. So I was a GA, and our little GA group, my mom would teach us how to read. So that was like probably first or second grade. I mean, really young. As far as what we're doing now, I mean, majorly reading music, but kind of moving that. My brothers and I have 2 older brothers, all in band, all in choir, all through our schooling, all until we graduated. And then I was the one that went into music at UMKC Conservatory. So I had 2 fantastic mentors, still consider them so, Dr. Eph Ehly and Dr. Chuck Robinson there at UMKC. And just fantastic music education is the third one. Upbringing, really. I also got a degree in music therapy because I thought that's what I was going to do, and also psychology. So my music ed and psychology sort of helped me think I could have my own private practice, work with children with the ed side and adults with the psych side. And then Dr. Robinson stopped me. I remember the moment, little video in my mind, holding a guitar, going to a music therapy class with all my music, and him just saying, you know, you're meant to be a choir teacher, don't you, Beth? And it was like God smacked me up the back of the head through his words. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. So just a lot of growth personally and music education at UMKC. And then, of course, getting my first job, I moved to St. Louis and met my husband there. And lots of extra work as much as I could do. So my first job was an elementary music teacher, but I, before school, went to the high school in Pattonville where I started and helped marching band. And then after school, went back to the high school and helped solos and ensembles all year. So just really tried to, you know, the young and dumb sort of aspect of everything, doing as much as I could. Specifically jazz. My high school band director introduced me to really heavy duty jazz education. And so at UMKC, I got to sing with Kirby Shaw my first 2 years there, and before he moved to Washington State. And then it was a lot of work with many different people after that, lots of GAs and things like that. But and I discovered, you know, jazz is really in my soul from my high school experience, listening to vinyl albums that my band director let me borrow, and all sorts of stuff like that through, and I mean, him introducing me to Lambert, Hendrickson, Ross, like that was basically the start of everything for me. LHR just did it for me, and at that point I got bit by the bug and searched for more things. Of course, this is pre-internet, so I was looking everywhere I possibly could for as many different aspects, and Manhattan Transfer were big in the 80s when I went to college, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been, of course, teaching. Really, I think I was born to be a teacher. So teaching really is in my soul, and music is my excuse. So I really hoped to expose my students to jazz as well as how to handle their instrument through all kinds of music. And now I've taught every age. So early on, elementary and middle school, and then high school for 25 years. And then I just taught at Webster University as an adjunct in the fall semester. And I'm the assistant director and singer in the UNISON chorus for the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. That's a gospel choir. So basically, music students from the age of 5 to 85. And it's just such an amazing thing to know that music is really forever in our lives. I was just talking to some high school kids about an hour and a half ago that it's only the beginning for them, that it's a forever thing. And isn't that amazing that we get to be a part of that process in people's lives, no matter where they are in their process?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have a very wide-ranging, well-rounded education, upbringing, and experience. So that's really cool. The thing that stands out to me is, you know, psychology, which I'm sure you use every day in the classroom. And, you know, Lambert, Hendrickson, Ross is one of my favorites. So
Good.
yeah. They started out with just some vocalizations of Count Basie tunes, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love them. I love another French group that I'm trying to put my thumb on right now.
Are you talking about the Swingle Singer? No. Le
No,
Double Six.
Le Double Six. Yes. Yeah. Love them
Yes.
too.
Funny little thing about that. My husband is a former French teacher, also retired after 33 years. So we're big Francophiles and into the French. So Le Double Six is like definitely top of the listening numbers for me early on.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so now tell us a little bit about your role for Southwestern ACDA. What are you going to be doing for us? And tell us what you're excited about for that.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, it's just so new, but I do believe that I'm a servant at heart. So my search to kind of figure out what people want and need is an important part of that, and a continual process, talking to individuals. But again, just banner waving, really, like anybody can do this. start wherever your level is. Educate your students and yourself at the same time if need be, or go for the chart that you never thought you could do if you're advanced. Or it really is an exciting thought to be a part of educating teachers if need be, but also inspire the people that are already in the know. Definitely helping with this a convention that we're having in March of 26 in Albuquerque is top of the list. But I do enjoy picking rep to put out there in our newsletter and listening to a bunch of different things and finding what lights a fire and how it goes with different levels of singers and knowledge on their part. Yeah, and then being a part of that convention, and I'm a lifelong learner as well as hoping to help and serve. So I'm really also excited to continue learning myself.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be a great resource for all of our folks looking for vocal jazz stuff, and I'm sure beyond that scope too. But what is a piece of music that you think best embodies your personality?
So these questions are always very difficult for me. It's like, what's your favorite movie kind of a thing, you know? But I did, you know, I try to go with my first instinct when I read that question previously. And something that popped into my mind was the Kurt Elling piece that he wrote called The Beauty of All Things. And that's in his Messenger album. The lyrics just really speak to me as a teacher, looking at the growth of my students and they're hoping to tap into their full potential, but then also, you know, letting go of my own questioning of myself, like maybe even thinking of it as a higher being or God. Speaking to me. And part of the lyrics that really helped me maybe relax a little bit is the melody never ends, echoing again and again. Never still sounds a melody. Nearer still sounds a melody leading through darkened rooms, playing like the sun on the water, like its reflection in your downcast eyes. When will you come to see you like I do, and know you like I do, and hear you like I do, and love you like I do? I just think that a lot of us, you know, get in our own way, and including me, that if we're here to help people, it's really about seeing potential in our students and then helping them see that, helping them see what we see. So
yeah, I love that.
And there's a lot that I love, but that was just one of the several that popped up.
Yeah, these are super hard questions to answer with so many choices.
Right?
But thank you for that answer and for, you know, giving us a little bit of insight as to why and you know, lyrics. So that's great. Okay, so another hard question. What is your desert island choral piece? Only one that you could have with you till you're saved.
So choral piece kind of lends itself to a classical thought, right? So Chichester Psalms was the first thing that popped into my head. And I love Bernstein, and I love the dissonance that lies within that, and because of the resolutions that occur after, and just the syncopation and waves of emotion from that piece is an amazing thing. But I have a huge love for Brahms' Requiem from my college days. And then if I want to go jazz, Carrie Marsh has an incredible arrangement of Send When You're Love, which is a Stevie Wonder tune, which every time I hear it, you know, I'm not one to really love earworms. I really try to avoid them and stop before it happens, but I could let myself sing that all the time. It's one that I could really live in.
You gave us some great options there. Yeah. Yeah, we just finished the Brahms Requiem here last semester. So it's it's the first opportunity I had to conduct the whole work. It was one of my bucket list pieces to do. So I was really glad to be able to do that with my group here.
And you loved it?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
While I was at UMKC, we did it, and Dr. Ely was a drama teacher before he was a choral guy, and he actually completely dressed up as Brahms with the beard and the wig and his suit, sort of ragtag suit and everything, and conducted a whole rehearsal as Johannes Brahms. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I'll never forget it. That's something that he did in different ways, but that is certainly a landmark memory of mine that really colored how we performed it.
Okay, so I think I'm taller than Brahms, but I may have to work on growing out the beard because I think I'm capable. I think I can grow out the beard. But
you could do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we did the 2 piano version. So my next bucket list for that work will be the full orchestra version.
Fantastic! Yeah, that's cool.
Well, very cool. Okay, so do you have a particular philosophy of programming that you default to?
So I don't know if this is philosophy, but I really just shoot for variety. As I feel like I'm in a position to help expose singers, performers to something that they haven't done before, experience new emotions, and also then what can I teach from this kind of a thing. So educational aspect, but then also new and possibly new to the audience as well. And variety, I think, is something that I, like a sponge, soaked up as a kid. So I really love to do that, then in turn, maybe full circle. Think of it that way.
Sure. So variety, in what ways, in what terms? Like, are we talking everything from language, key relationships, fundamental forces, all that stuff?
Oh, sure. So text, of course, and then, but also, of course, meter, and then rhythmic, what's happening in the rhythmic integrity, chord structure, and then styles, as many different styles too. And then, I think a part of that too is finding connections between all of those things, even though they're completely different, which is part of our humanity, isn't it? So we're all connected, even though we're different people. And I think that's sort of a thread that runs through it all. Also, I really find it amazing as singers to completely honor the style that you're doing in that performance. So to change your the way you perform, and maybe in this way tone would adjust, of course, and placement and consonants, even from something from gospel to Baroque. You're going to adjust some vowel placement and some consonants. I love that idea of us being able to do many different styles appropriately and honoring that style as it's done. So something Irish is going to have should have, in my mind, a different sound performance-wise than maybe something that, I don't know, a jazz ballad. Right. So the teaching of how our instrument can change and adjust within all that variety is fascinating to me too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I asked you to go just a little bit further, a step further, because I think we all know what you mean when you just say variety. But I take for granted sometimes that, my students, for instance, or emerging choir leaders know exactly what we're talking about when we say variety. They're like, oh yeah, different stuff. Well, what does that mean? They have to kind of dig a little deeper into, and to make sure that they're doing all of those things as they're programming their own things. So yeah, thank you for that. I think you gave us a little mini masterclass. So that's awesome.
Thanks. No, that's a good point to really define that, because it's not just singing a pop tune and a classical piece. It is more than that, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll get to emerging choir leaders here in just a minute. But how would you describe what maybe a typical rehearsal would look like under your direction?
So I'm a cram as much in as I possibly can in the amount of time that I've been allotted, kind of rehearsers. So It is very fast-paced. And because of that timing and fast-paced energy, I do a lot of a cappella and rehearsal. Lots of leadership, individual leadership. So sections huddling up to practice a part while I'm taking a different section through the same part. So you're allowed to sing along with us, but you do it in a leadership, helping each other area. So then when I come back to you, you're going to know, hey, we need the pickup to measure 8 to check that part. A more intelligent way, possibly of running, or efficient, maybe is a better word to say it, to run that. Really, because we've been controlled by a bell for most of my teaching life. So that means that really multitasking within rehearsal. So I ended up doing a lot of even in-class sectionals because I just didn't have the space in my high school to be able to, a room to send kids to. So it was a lot all at once. And then that provides them a chance to become more self-advocate and leading together, that they are helping each other, which is another part of a foundation of my education. Teaching is to teach people how to be good giving leaders. So fast-paced, lots of a cappella, lots of individual leadership.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that answer too. There's a lot to be said about the emerging choral leader that we talked about a little bit earlier, and you've given a lot of tips already. I wonder if you have, and I kind of hate the word, I don't hate it, but I have a knee-jerk reaction to the word hack, because so many things I think require us to dig a little deeper than a digestible 30-second clip of something. But maybe you have some advice, some takeaway for an emerging choral director.
Yeah, I think first of all, the umbrella over everything is being student-centered. I mean, I don't think that means that you do everything your students want to do. That's not what that means, but that how do I, not only what question do I ask, but how do I ask the question in order to elicit a desired response? So also, I mean, just there, asking more questions than I give answers, period. That's being more student-centered. I'm figuring out what they need. You're doing a lot of performance assessments, so you have to be very flexible and giving them a little bit of power by having them give more answers is really a way you can do that. Then celebrating good things all the time. Sometimes we focus on fixing all the time, and that's really one of our skills. But really celebrating, hey, this was really great. Now let's try to, really talk about celebrating. I do like self-reflection and personal growth on my part. It's more like, okay, why did I get that sound from them? Then I'm going to consider what my conducting gesture is, or what my body language is, or what I'm doing at that particular time. So self-reflection and personal growth is really important, I think, if you're especially asking your students to produce something for you. And then I mentioned developing student leaders. That's really something 20 years ago when I was taking my students to leadership workshops given by Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser. I tell you, it changed the way I taught. And I just give him all the props for that. I really, that teaching individuals how to be giving leaders, that affected everything we did in class, because then they were helping each other rather than competing or whatever, or feeling less than. All of that with, of course, appropriate self-advocation. And then, just commitment, hard work, be organized, that kind of stuff that I think those little details make all the difference. When you have a list, or I go off lists, I'm a lister, but but maybe, you know what's coming up. So you're not only prepping for that, but the two other things that are after that as well. So nothing's a surprise, right? So many deadlines that you have to corral along with your students.
Yeah, for sure. I wrote down a lot of things here. Like, how do I ask the question? Leading questions, asking leading questions
Yeah.
that give you assessment points and putting the onus kind of back on the students. Celebrating accomplishments, self-reflection and growth, developing student leaders, and meaning helping each other versus competing, organization. So you gave us a lot of really great tips there. One of the things that I tell my students a lot as far as self-reflection and growth as a conductor is early on, especially, and I need to do more of it myself now even, is record yourself with the technology we have now. Record yourself in rehearsal, record yourself. See, oh, I could have done something better there. Oh, I
Right.
misspoke there. Maybe I could have chosen a different set of words, or things like that. So those
You
are
know,
excellent.
you have to give yourself grace in those things too, because
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, just talking to my students at Webster this last semester about they recorded themselves, and one kid said, I said so many times. And I said, you know what, that's gonna change and adjust. You're gonna stop saying but something else will creep in, and then that will go away and something else will creep in. So you can't be so hyper focused on that little thing, but to be able to get your thought through that, that's the important part. And I should add to the whole celebrate thing is along with the student leadership, the students celebrate each other. So if I'm the only cheerleader in the room, it's not great, but it almost means more coming from them celebrating each other rather than it always being from me. So we develop those kind of community things to help that be the motivator. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do something similar in my groups where, we have like a mentor-mentee relationship between we call them veterans and our newbies, that come through so that they can, help bolster each other, but in university life, not just in the ensemble room, but, hey, like, where's the financial aid office, or where's the registrar or the bursar's office, or where's the dining hall? I need help, So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's those little things that I think if we can create a support system around our students within the group and it not all be on the director, then I think that also alleviates some of that stress and burnout that we'll talk about later as well.
Fantastic. Just having connections, with people,
Yes,
feeling
connections.
connected. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm really glad to be associated with Southwestern under Jonathan Owen's leadership, because he's really big on this connection. Name of the podcast, Connections Podcast. The
Right.
newsletter is the Southwestern Connection. So he's really big on connection, and I'm really glad to be a part of that.
For sure.
What general advice would you give to your 16-year-old self? Doesn't have to be musical or rehearsal related, but your 16-year-old self, if you can put yourself back in that time period, what would you now say to yourself then?
Sure. This to me is kind of an easy question. So I mentioned I have two older brothers. So and obviously, a dad who was in charge of a lot of stuff. So proving myself was a large part of my early life. I would say I embarrassingly am going to confess, when I turned 40, I finally said, you know what? You don't need to prove yourself to anybody anymore. People are going to know who you are, and they're going to like you for who you are. Or if they don't, they're going to switch the channel or whatever, however to say that. But really, I would just say it's going to be okay. Things will work out. I come from a worrier family too, but things will work out. Things will be fine. And you don't have to prove yourself as much. It'll be okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had a similar epiphany around 40 or so, and it's funny how life works like that. You worry so much and try to prove yourself up to that point, and then you kind of go, well, if people like me, they do. If they don't, they don't. And maybe I don't need to try to please others as hard as I need to try to make peace for myself. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true.
that's
I mean, we're good people. What's not to like,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good people most of the time, I'll say.
That's right.
Okay, so then let's flip this a little bit on its side. And what would you say to yourself now if you can put yourself in your shoes, say in your 90s?
So I've been working on that currently, after having been in public school for 31 years. And I think I would just tell myself to enjoy now, do what you really enjoy doing, pick and choose, and it's okay to do that. And, but, now you've paid your dues and you've worked really, really hard. Now it's okay to enjoy. You don't have to, you know, be up and out all moments, you can give yourself some time. That is work in progress for me because I like to work.
Yeah,
So
you and me both. You and me both. I think that's great advice, though. Yeah, enjoy, take stock of those that are around you, the relationships you've made, where you are, what you're doing. Um,
yeah.
and I call it contentment without complacency. That's kind of how I think about it. So I think that's great. Great advice.
Yeah.
Is there something that happens to you? And I ask this question because it happens to all of us, but maybe in a different way. So you're working on a passion project and you're in the zone. What does that look like for you?
Keep the love of your passion project. Keep the love. I think it's easy sometimes to get bogged down in details or frustrations. And it's important to really remember why you're doing it and what your why, basically. That's something that centering yourself back to that. I think that's something that I've gotten better at, and to be the light in the situation, to not wait for someone to ask for help, but to be the help in case they need it. And then, celebrating. I think that's a part of also keeping the love. But not getting bogged down for sure. I think it's easy for me to find, the passion in things. So just reminding myself that of what I love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think through the work, sometimes we can become a little bogged down.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good focus to have, is just keep the love of why you started in the first place. So it's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I apologize to all of my guests for this. It's just the juvenile nature of my brain. But I'm watching in my mind a sanctioned WWE wrestling bout with a 4-person tag team, and it's choral directors now. So in clinic or session, who are the 3 other choral directors you want in your corner?
Okay, so you're talking about tag team, but this is almost worse than what is your favorite piece of music. So I am standing on so many people's shoulders to be who I am. And I fully acknowledge that. Everything, practically everything we use in our classroom is something that we got from somebody else that we're inspired by completely. So to choose just even like 3 other people is so difficult. But definitely, if I could just wrap in one, Eph Ehly and Charles Robinson, one. I don't, there's no, that's, of course they're different people, but, and then.
We'll allow it. We'll allow it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then, I have a buddy, Christine Taveras Mocha, lives in California, and she is teaching high school out there, and incredible jazzer, but also just amazing work with high schoolers. And I think philosophy wise, we're just very similar. A sister, definitely, in music, but in many other ways. And she would be on a part of my tag team for sure. And then just I have some buddies that I admire here. I'm going to name way too many people. So Brian Parrish, Ben Silvermans. I learned from so many people. I really like to watch people that Okay, so Christine Tavares-Mocha, met her for the first time, and she conducted one of the all-state vocal jazz groups. I was coordinator for 9 years and invited her to come out. And seeing her teach for the first time, everything she did, I do. I felt like we were just very similar. But in the same way, however reassuring that is, I love seeing people that are completely opposite of me, that have this like quiet confidence that for some reason, I'm like, let's do this. And there are people that have the same result with the complete opposite way of and I love seeing that too. So many amazing people, Jason Martin and at Fort Zumwalt South High School. It was my sister's school there where I taught at West, and I just can name and continuously name people that I just find amazing. Jennifer Barnes at UNT, and I even think like Christine Guter, that's also in California. She's fantastic. And so I'm Carrie Marsh is another level for me too. Oh gosh. So my team is like a really big team.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, we're standing on the shoulders of so many people, and to just, talking about making a hybrid, I really just think I'm a hybrid of so many people that I admire and been inspired by, and would love to, have in my court. I'm the guy who's the quiet confidence guy, Brian Reeves, here in St. Louis. I don't know if you know who he is, but yeah. And then there are many instrumentalists, band guys that, and by guys, I mean all men and women, that, I find fascinating too, and really enjoy watching and learning from. So that was the hardest question, I think.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I try to narrow the focus for our guests, so it doesn't overwhelm them. But it's really kind of a selfish question for me because as small as our music world is, sometimes there are people that you don't normally interact with or that you don't know of in the world. And I like to write names down so that, hopefully I can check into their work and see what they're up to and learn from them and, that kind of thing. So.
Well, let me give you one other name to write down. David Von Kampen.
Yes,
So
okay.
cerebral, so like I will listen to something that he does and be like, yes. Just and so smart.
Yeah, I've done some of his arrangements and some of Carrie's arrangements too, so for sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So along these same lines, who is another choral musician that you would like to lift up? Maybe one that doesn't get the attention you think they deserve.
Yeah. So one of those quiet storms, I would say would be Dr. Trent Patterson at Webster University. He's such a generous, person, but such a generous conductor that I really, I've sung while he's conducted my students and me, but I've also been on a conducting team with him before. And I mean, just really, sometimes the quiet storms you don't hear from, or, they're not making as much noise as the big mouths like me out there. But I really think that he's an easily kept secret that maybe should be known more.
Yeah, I know Dr. Patterson. Yeah, I know Trent, just from conferences and stuff. I need more opportunities to see him work in that quiet storm setting. So I'll have to seek out those opportunities. That's awesome. Okay, so what do you do to relax or fight burnout, kind of relating back to our previous topic?
Sure. Well, my husband and I like to travel. I think I mentioned that he's a French teacher, so we traveled a lot with his students for years and years while we were both young and throughout our teaching career. And so travel is kind of, I came to realize that it's in my blood. So we do love traveling, and we're right now trying to do two generally large kind of ish trips a year. Just, while we can. And I mean that for many different reasons, but I do love to cook. So since I retired, I've delved into like making my own pasta and baking baguettes and again, a variety of things, sorbet, kind of things that, a variety of stuff. And I love photography. So I try to practice composition and many different ways of looking at things. And then the technology side of that, how I can really get the best picture. And then I love TVs and movie. I mean, I am the TV generation. It was the latchkey kid, and we got home and I watched the Muppet Show. And when I got home from school, yeah, so I definitely do love TV shows and movies and watch the Oscars every year and that kind of thing. So that, I guess that covers a lot, but I
Yeah, there's
dabble in a
a
lot
lot
of
of them
different.
connected. So, your travel, your cooking, your photography, that kind of stuff. That
Yeah.
all um, that all's great. You could probably do a video blog or a vlog on YouTube or something of all your tips and tricks for travel, cooking, photography. That'd be
Well, there are definitely some tips
be
or
popular.
hacks out there, but man, that there is an element that I do get nervous about photography where I'm not experiencing the moment because my eye is behind the lens. And so that is an important thing to be in the moment, but also to be able to convey that moment to other people. So like a vlog or a blog might then I wonder if that would take me out of experiencing it more, or it would make me experience it, would
Yeah,
make
that's a
me
good
think
point.
it
Yeah,
more. I don't know.
they have rigs now. I think you can put like a GoPro or something where you could, just strap it to yourself and still have all the experiences. But yeah, good point. Yeah,
Right.
I'm on a similar trajectory there when I travel or experience new things. I'm at a concert and you see everybody holding these up, and I'm
Hmm.
like, just put it down and
Yeah,
live in the moment. But then,
totally.
our memories a lot are tied to these images and videos and things like that. So, and being able to share them. So, um, yeah, great points, but also great hobbies and great interests. So,
Yeah.
um, I asked that question because it's a common topic in our field right now, and everybody handles it a little bit differently. And if we can give someone an avenue to say, well, maybe I can pick that up as a side venture to take as a release to take my mind off of, because we are incredibly busy in our work and what we do. Um, and sometimes we just need to disconnect and do something else. So I'm interested to hear what everybody's interests are in that way. So thank you. We're
Oh,
getting close to the end of our interview here now, so I have this little Accelerando round. If you're down to play this game with me, it's just kind of shooting
sure.
from the hip.
All
Uh,
right.
First thing that comes to mind. So, what's the worst job you ever had outside of choral music?
Oh, totally can tell you right away. Uh, Sophomore in high school, I got a job in a donut shop, which required me to be there at 3 a.m. And then I helped make the donuts, and then I sold the donuts. And there was the walk between picking the donut up and then turning around and putting it in the box. And so the space between there was just caked with everything. So at the end of the day, I got to scrape all that stuff up. And that was the one and only day I was at that job. I'm not a morning person at all. But besides all that, it just, no, not familiar, fulfilling at all. And I still have never really been a big donut person since, by the way. It
Yeah,
ruined it.
I can see how that would turn you off from that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely not a morning person either. That alone would turn me off from that. So, yeah, that's a good one. What's your guilty pleasure bad food to eat?
Guilty pleasure, what?
Like a bad food, something that's
Oh,
not good
bad
for you.
food.
Junk food.
Okay, let's see. Um, Nachos. It used to be ding dongs. I would freeze them and have ding dongs, but I stopped doing that because it's not good for me. But Man, now I would probably say coffee. I never drank coffee, but then traveling to France changed a lot in me food-wise, and coffee's one of them. So now I like specific coffees, specific ways, and yeah. So, but is that junk food really? It's not great
Not
for
really.
you.
No, I'd say that's a necessity.
Okay, yeah.
Coffee's a
But
food group.
yeah, maybe nachos, but I'm not big into yeah, I'm specific with my stuff. I'm not picky, but I don't want to have stuff everywhere, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But
What do you what do you
nachos are
what do you like
good.
on your nachos? What do you like on your nachos?
Lots of cheese, but the bottom nachos, you have to layer the cheese through all. So the bottom nachos cannot be soggy. They have to be crisp. So I almost like them,
Amen.
baked. You got to eat them right away. I don't want, yeah. So you got to be careful how you do the layer and what you put on. And the moisture content definitely is, key. So I'm telling, this is why I'm specific. So, um, but yeah, I do like salty in the afternoon, salty things. So, yeah.
But that sounds like you've got the art down. That's great. Okay. If you had to do any other job besides being a musician of some kind, what would that be?
Um, Other than being a musician,
Mhm.
because I mean, honestly, I couldn't really imagine being anything but a teacher, but um, okay, let's see. I suppose I would have gone into photography. I suppose I would have. It has some similar elements actually of performing and you know, yeah, well, performance, because you're composing that what people are going to see. So I suppose I would have done something like that. But I also um I, I have the ultimate handyman for a dad. So I really do like knowing how things are made and knowing how our bodies work. So I did at one point think that I would go into medicine when I was early on in high school, and that's why I ended up choosing music therapy, because I could maybe combine a little bit of, how music affects our body physically. So maybe something in medicine, but yeah, it all seems futile now because I know what I was supposed to be. So
Right. That's a hard question too, especially because we all have followed this passion.
yeah.
So most answers are somewhat adjacent. But yeah, I think you gave us some good options there. Being the cinephile that you are, this is probably an unfair question as well, but what's a movie or TV show you think everyone should watch at least once?
I really always try to tailor my answer to what I think, someone who asks me that likes. Um, but because I am a spycraft person, I really like anything spy. I used to think I don't believe in former lives, but I used to think if I did, I was a spy in a former life. But um, so I did love Alias when it was out, from beginning to end. That was the Jennifer Garner, episodic TV show. But I think, It's a Wonderful Life. I know it maybe seem cliche, but I love the aspect of really realizing how you affect other people without really knowing that you do, without really knowing. And so I think that movie in itself, to really sit down, not just hear it in the background, but to really watch that movie. Man, there's so many here, but yeah,
Those are
lots of
great.
great, yeah,
Yeah,
lots of great things out there.
absolutely. So you have a choice here in this question. What is the scariest moment of your life, or what is your biggest phobia?
Oh gosh, this is a new thought. Okay, I don't like making mistakes. Now that really gives you an insight into my life. I don't even like being on camera, so this is a little unique for me today. But that's why I don't think I'd be great as a vlogger. But uh, I definitely would have to get over myself in many different ways to be good at it. But um, yeah, I think just being naturally being afraid of not having a script and saying something stupid is probably at the top of my list. My biggest fear, though, yeah, I mean, I think imposter syndrome is easy for all of us to feel. Even just humanly, we all can feel that. But to feel less than or unworthy, maybe that's really a better way to say it, is not a great feeling. I think that that's something that why I've always like worked at being prepared for things to make sure that I not only didn't embarrass myself, but that I had something to give to other people. So, and I don't want to take that for granted, because I do remember Dr. Robinson saying to me once, Beth, you could fly by the seat of your pants a lot in many different situations and be okay, because you're kind of a jack of all trades, and you could do that. But just think how much better you would be if you actually worked a little bit more at each of those things. And man, I will never forget that too. So being prepared, not being prepared probably is a big fear of mine. Man,
Okay,
that's a
that's
really good
fair.
one, Jeff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Little big insight into Beth here.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here, is to learn more about you. So, what's something you spend way too much money on?
Oh, food, probably buying food to cook.
Mhm.
Yeah. And all that goes into that. But travel right now, that certainly is something that that's our priority monetarily. Buying memories, spending money on making memories, isn't that maybe that seems more of a lofty way to say it.
No, I get that. I'm not a big stuff person myself. I'm more about
Yeah.
experiences too. So I'm
Yeah,
with you.
consumables and memories.
That's right. That's right. What's a secret talent that most people might be surprised to learn about you?
Okay.
The English on that is probably not great, the grammar, but you get what I mean.
Okay, let's see. So, maybe more of a quirk than a talent. I mean, I grew up poor, so we definitely I rationed my food. I ate it as slowly as possible. That's a better way to say it. So I have interesting ways that I eat food slowly so that I can really savor it for a longer amount of time. Again, that's maybe more of a quirk or a psychosis rather than a talent. I let's see. Um, I think I could be, how do I say this? Not necessarily the best dancer, but I'm physically astute. I can do particular movements probably better than maybe some people might think that I could. I live fast. I think I drive really well. Don't ask my husband that question if I do, but I think I
The
think I
Latin,
could
sorry.
I think I could beat a lot of people in a race.
Okay.
I don't
Like
know.
a foot race, or is that what you
No,
mean?
not a foot
Oh, like
race.
a
I'm thinking about
driving
driving.
driving race. Okay.
I think I'm a good driver. Now, this is of course right off the hip. So this is the first time I've told anybody this, Jeff. So you just got that out of me. Nobody.
All right, we're gonna have to find a track. Okay, everybody.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't ask about tickets, but
Great, great. Okay. I love that. What is the oldest thing in your fridge that you think
the
lives
oldest thing
there?
in my refrigerator.
Yeah, what lives there
Oh,
that needs to leave?
okay. I just cleaned, but um I think like sauces. My parents are definitely depression children, so they saved everything. So I have that same sort of disease that I save things until I don't know what it is anymore. So like little bits of sauces that I think I can use in another way, so I keep it. If you do you need a specific? Okay,
No,
that's
not at all. No, I have kind of that same kind of food scarcity mindset too. I take it, talking about your previous answer in a little bit different way. Um, I eat too much and too quickly because I'm always like, I have to be the first one to get the seconds. If there are any seconds, I'm going, I got to be the first one.
Now,
So yeah,
see, I had to do that with my brothers because I never could get seconds. So I ate super fast. And then here we're eating 20 minutes as teachers in 20 minutes. So
right, right, right.
we had to slow my husband and I had to slow ourselves down for sure. But once I got my amount and I didn't get any more than that, make it last as long as possible. Totally. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Okay. Definitely apparating, like moving, like I want to move from here to there. And I don't, even though I love to drive, but I want to just like be somewhere without a lot of time that it takes to get there. So I would,
So
is
like
apparating?
teleportation kind of thing. Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
teleportation, like to be able to get there. And yeah, for sure.
Great. Well, there's some great superheroes with that power. So awesome. Um, I'm stealing one from another podcast that I listen to. But if you could
Okay.
have any message on a billboard for thousands of people to see, can be a short message or a short phrase. What would that billboard say?
Smile.
Oh, I love that. Okay, smile.
Yeah.
Okay, well, congratulations. You've achieved Tempo Presto in the Accelerando Round. So excellent. Thank
Yay.
you. Thank you for playing. Okay, so what goals do you have for 2025 or this academic year or whatever? What are you looking forward to the most?
So this school year, really, even in August, I wanted to, there's a learning curve on being a substitute teacher, for sure. So I wanted to be better about, you know, coming in with that ready. Because I believe last school year, 23-24 was my learning how to be a good sub. Wanted to walk in and like, not only make this not a lost day for the teacher I was subbing for, especially music teachers, but also to like make it better. Like that teacher would come back and go, wow, you got this far. That's great. Then that means we can, do this and now, and the kids would be like, wait, who are you? So just being able to know, not making it a lost day is the baseline for me, but instead of trying to be their teacher for that day, it's okay to be the substitute teacher and figure out what are some Swiss cheese holes that I can fill in, or what's a way that I can make it better for you as a student. And so that was a big thing for this school year for me. And I also got another great lesson in the fall being adjunct for Webster and conducting an ensemble there. And really, after 25 years of being the only choir teacher at the high school where I taught, and I adored my high school, really just a great place to be. And my students knew me, I knew my students, were very close. And then I go into this situation where I was obviously a transition teacher for these college freshmen and sophomores. That was a great experience for me to have kind of recenter myself of, it's not that you aren't it's not that the last 15 years were a lie, that you weren't a good teacher, is that you're different, and remembering from the student's point of view. So those two things are really an important thing for the school year for me, of kind of readjusting maybe on teaching and it being okay. That's another part of talking to myself as a 16-year-old or as a 90-year-old, that it's okay. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to be it all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Everything that you've said today, it's been a great conversation. Getting to know
Okay.
Beth, and I think it's going to make it easier for folks to take that first step to get in touch with you as our jazz repertoire and resource chair for Southwestern. So thanks for joining me today. Where can people go to learn more about you and your work?
To learn more about my work.
Your work, or where can they contact you, or how can they
Oh,
connect? How can they connect?
definitely can email me. It's benloefritz@gmail.com. Definitely email number one. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram that much. I'm actually on Instagram maybe a little bit more, but if you're messaging me on Facebook, it may take me a little bit to see it because I'm not on there a lot. But email for sure. And so again, that's benloefritz@gmail.com. And then, I would say, just email me and then we can always, I'm good at texting. So once we make contact, we can always go that direction. And I really, I am a helper. It's one of my things that I like. I'm a servant. So I really do like helping anybody in any way, capacity that they'd like. So definitely get in touch.
Well, excellent. If you're okay with it, and I'll kind of disguise your email address so that the bots don't catch it in the description of the YouTube video. But if you're okay with it, I'll put that down in the description, and people will have an easier way to maybe get in contact with you.
Yeah, please do. And because the one in the box down here is my Webster email. I'm not sure why it chose the Webster. Maybe it's something I did
Okay.
off the top. So yeah, I'm
so
also
use the Gmail account. Got it.
Yes, for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, this has been fun. All right. We'll see everybody next time.